airplane was sold by Travel Air to Pittsburgh Airways in 1929, and they flew regular passenger service in this airplane, 5 passengers, 2 pilots, for about a year and a half before they couldn't survive during the Depression. Ended up in Missoula, Montana with the Johnson Flying Service. They did a lot of flying for the forestry department. They came up with the idea of dropping firefighters out of the airplanes. The airplane that we have, EAA 8112, is the first airplane to drop smoke jumpers into a live fire.
I didn't really know much about a Travel Air 6000 at all. They're so rare, I think there's only 6, 7 of them today that are flyable. It was in okay condition, and I said, you know, we could fly it a few years and do something with it. Well, I flew it almost 10 years. Fast forward, in 2016, I was here and I met Doug. And about 2 years later, he joined our team, Mid-America Flight Museum, and we formed our north location in Urbana, Ohio.
And when it arrived to me in 2018, on March 18th, we tore the whole airplane apart and started the restoration. So when you start a project like this, your hope is always we're going to pull the fabric off, you know, just simply recover the airplane and get it back in the air. That never seems to be the case. And so we took the airplane apart, and it was quite evident right away all the wood on the fuselage was going to have to be replaced. It's a steel tube box frame with a wooden shell around it, and then the fabric around that. We had a flying airplane when we started, so I took it apart and was very careful, took measurements and things like that. I have one photograph on my bulletin board back in the shop. It's a black and white photo from March of 1929 of the Travel Air factory that has the airplane almost built, but with no fabric on it. So we could see where all the formers went, the stringers, and how it was supposed to go together. So that's how we did it. We did a lot of lasers, strings, and quite frankly, trying to eyeball from side to side, yeah, I think that looks right. It wasn't until February this last year when we put the first piece of fabric on the side of the airplane and pulled it tight. We all stood back and looked at it. We got it. It was a great learning experience for me with the airplane, and I restored several airplanes in the past, but it was usually just myself and maybe one other person. And with this airplane, we were very blessed that we ended up with another staff person and myself and close to 60 volunteers. We have volunteers that range from young high school kids, freshmen and sophomores, up to upper class, all the way to in their 80s. You know, standing back and trying to determine the skills that each one of these people have and how I could plug them into the project, it was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
I got involved in this restoration in 2018, and the first day I walked in, Doug Smith, who's leading the restoration, asked me what type of things I like to work on. So I can do a little bit of anything, but woodworking is probably what I'm most comfortable with, especially if it's small things I can take home, bring back to the airplane. And the first thing that he gave me was this airplane has navigation lights out on the wingtips that are top and bottom. And he said, well, we need to do all the mounting for this because it did not have any of those lights on it by the time we got it. It had been retrofitted. And so the first day I was involved in laying out and coming up with a mounting scheme for the navigation lights. And from that moment on, I knew I had a new home. Streamlined tubing didn't really exist in the sizes they needed, so the struts and landing gear are round steel tubing, and then there is balsa that fares it in, leading and trailing edge, to make the airfoil. All of the balsa in the landing gear was just too bad to save. So me being a model airplane guy, but then also having an A&P, I was very, very comfortable working with balsa, and I said, I'll take that on. And that became pretty much a winter project. There were 32 balsa 2x4s that we bought, 2-inch by 4-inch by 48 inches long, that had to be cut with a bandsaw, tapered. Sanding blocks were actually designed and 3D printed to make the contours. All of those items glued together and shaped and put onto the airplane. And down in the landing gear where the front and rear fairing come together, there's this giant gusset block. And what was great is I got to use some of my dad's balsa wood that we had stored in the rafters. It was a big block we never thought we'd use for anything. I almost got rid of it, and it's in this airplane, and I'm sure my dad's very proud of that, and so am I. Probably one of the most special things about this project to me is partway through the project about a year ago, my daughter Jocelyn became really interested in it and started going out to the airport with me.
He would always come home and just have a lot of interesting stories about going to the hangar in Urbana. And so I started going in February and I really enjoyed it. First day I was there, we did a little bit of sanding. Later, we were doing rib stitching. We had done that on the Stinson tri-motor already, so I had learned a little bit on how to do that. So I was able to help do rib stitching for the Travel Air. It's easy to take it for granted because it's so easy for me to access. I'm very thankful that I have this experience.
And I'm going and building a bigger bond, a better bond with my daughter and watching her learn and grow. You come for the airplane, but it becomes much bigger than that. It's all about the people.
The reaction that we're getting here at Oshkosh with the airplane is just phenomenal. You know, it's a fairly rare aircraft. From what we can tell, there's 6, maybe 8 of these still flying, kind of scattered throughout the country, some in Alaska and things like that. So it's not every day you get to pull up and see a Travel Air 6000 sitting at an airport. And so just to stand back and watch people's faces as they look around the airplane, it's been great. People really seem to love it. You know, everybody here has had 2 years to work on their airplanes this time since we weren't here last year. And just to be recognized as an award-winning airplane is such a huge honor here at Oshkosh. The quality of aircraft that are here this year, I've never seen anything like it. It is absolutely incredible. And I'm just so happy for our team. We have several people that have worked on this airplane that have never worked on an airplane before. And a lot of them are here at Oshkosh for the very first time, and I've been texting them this morning. It's a huge honor. It's a huge honor.